What's up everyone and welcome back to the MMA Zone. Today, let's get started with Kamaru Usman shuts down theory that complacency led to UFC 278 loss. Going into the final round of the UFC 278 main event title fight between reigning welterweight champion Kamaru Usman and Leon Edwards, all signs pointed to Usman securing another decision win. As the seconds ticked off the clock, victory was beginning to look more and more likely for the Nigerian Nightmare. In fact, going into the fifth round, former flyweight champion Henry Cejudo, who was in attendance at the event, turned to Usman's manager and said, "Easy money." All signs pointed to Usman securing a win, however, Edwards simply would not be denied. With just under a minute to go, Rocky lived up to his nickname and delivered a spectacular knockout that will live forever on in UFC highlight reels. Given that many had Usman up on their scorecards going into the final minute of the fight, many have since questioned whether or not Usman had become overly comfortable and if it played a role in his loss. The former champ spoke to TMZ to refute claims that he was complacent in the final round of the scrap, saying,
"When I watched the fight over, I was listening to the commentary, and they were talking about that. No, that's not who I am. When I fight, there's a reason I go. I'm pedal to the metal, and I don't look at the clock."
To the former champ's credit, he has continued to handle the loss well, giving Edwards credit for the kick in interviews following the fight. Fortunately for Usman, he will have a chance to avenge the loss, as the UFC brass has indicated that they will likely book a trilogy fight between the pair sooner rather than later. Next up, Sean O'Malley is on a mission to become pay-per-view superstar. There's no doubt that Sugar Sean O'Malley is one of the hottest young prospects in the UFC. Ever since his Dana White's Contender Series win in 2017, O'Malley's stock has continued to rise. With spectacular highlight reels over Eddie Wineland and Thomas Almeida, O'Malley has found himself on the pay-per-view portion of UFC cards time and time again. With his multicolor hair and flashy striking techniques, O'Malley's place in the spotlight seems like a natural fit for the 27-year-old. Ahead of his UFC 280 scrap with bantamweight #1 contender Petr Yan in October, Suga spoke about one of his biggest motivating factors in the sport, becoming a pay-per-view legend.
I mean, it's crazy to think anytime Conor fights, that's 1 million buys. That's so legendary. That's the shit I want. That's what makes me so excited about fighting and the career and everything, is like doing big pay-per-views, being a part of massive events.
With the win over Yan in October, O'Malley will likely find himself as the bantamweight #1 contender, all but guaranteeing him a headlining spot on a future pay-per-view card against the winner of UFC 280's title fight between Aljamain Sterling and TJ Dillashaw. When the pair share the octagon on October 22nd, do you believe that O'Malley will emerge victorious and secure himself a bantamweight title fight to take the next steps towards becoming a UFC legend? Give us your predictions in the comments down below. And before we continue, make sure you give that like button some love and be sure to subscribe to the MMA Zone for all of the latest news. The Leech defends upcoming fight with Tony Ferguson. Following Leon Edwards' historic win over Kamaru Usman in the main event of UFC 278, news broke that former interim lightweight champion Tony Ferguson would be returning to action at UFC 279 to fight Ling Jingliang just months after being brutally knocked out by Michael Chandler. This booking was a surprising one for fight fans, not only because it marks Ferguson's return to welterweight after a decade fighting at lightweight, but also because many consider Jingliang to be a tough fight for Ferguson in the midst of his 4-fight skid. Despite that, the Leech believes anyone who is counting Ferguson out of the fight needs to reconsider their stance. He spoke through a translator about the booking and why people shouldn't be counting Ferguson out of the bout, saying,
You forget who he is. He's Tony Ferguson. You forgot those people. His face got caught by Tony Ferguson. Those people, amazing fighters, were choked by him. Yeah. You should give credit to Tony Ferguson. I believe if you fight against him, you will know how hard to deal with a guy like El Kakui. Yeah, you shouldn't forget those fighters like Tony who are a pioneer in this sport. So you should give him respect.
Despite his brutal knockout loss to Michael Chandler earlier this year, it is important to mention that Ferguson looked great in the first round of the fight. After rocking Chandler early on in the fight, Ferguson looked like he was beginning to return to form, something he will undoubtedly look to continue when he meets Jingliang in the octagon on September 10th. Do you believe the move to welterweight will be the answer to Ferguson's recent losing streak? Give us your predictions in the comment section down below. Hey fight fans, are you streaming the fights this weekend? Did you know that even in incognito mode, the websites you use can collect your data and profit by exploiting it? It's time for people to put a layer of protection between what they watch online and these tech companies, and that's why I use ExpressVPN. When you run ExpressVPN on your device, their software hides your IP address, which is what big tech companies use to personally identify you. ExpressVPN encrypts 100% of your internet data to keep you safe from eavesdroppers on your network. No matter how you watch the fights, it would be extremely wise to use their VPN and protect your information. Not to mention, ExpressVPN does not slow down your internet connection like other VPNs can. It's extremely fast and easy to use, just tap one button and you're connected. So stop giving your internet data out for free and protect yourself with the VPN I trust to keep me safe online. Visit expressvpn.com/MMAZone to get a free 3 months and give it a shot for the fights this weekend. That's expressvpn.com/MMAZone for a free 3-month trial of ExpressVPN. Don't miss out. Michael Bisping makes bold prediction for Darren Till's career. Liverpool native Darren Till has had a rough string of setbacks in recent years. After starting his professional career with an undefeated 17-0 record, Till earned himself a title shot against then-champion Tyron Woodley. Unfortunately, the fight didn't go the Gorilla's way, as he suffered his first career setback before then being knocked out by Jorge Masvidal in London the following year. The 2-fight skid prompted Till to make the choice to return to middleweight, where he found success by defeating Kelvin Gastelum at UFC 244. Unfortunately for Till, he then dropped back-to-back losses to Robert Whittaker and Derek Brunson before sustaining a series of injuries in training that have prevented him from competing for the past year. Recently, Till revealed that he was nearing a return and wanted to fight twice before the end of the year, a great sign for fight fans. That prompted former middleweight champion Michael Bisping to make a bold prediction regarding Till's future.
Make no mistake, mark my words, Darren Till, you're laughing at me because he's 1-3 in his last 4. Darren Till will be champion one day. His striking is phenomenal. His mind is strong. He's just had a bit of a bad run. And again, 29 years old. He'll be champ.
Although Till's return is on the horizon, there has been no word yet on who he will face when he's ready to make the walk back to the octagon once again. Play matchmaker in the comments and give us your thoughts on who he fights next and whether he will ever win a UFC championship. And now for our breaking news story of the day. We have Dana White releasing fighters from the UFC roster. There were a total of 3 fighters that got released, starting with Harry Hunsucker, then Claudio Silva, and then lastly, Mulan Wu Yanan. What do you think of these fighters getting released? Let us know in the comment section below. Now, we have an update for Jorge Masvidal's court case against Colby Covington. A motion was granted on the 18th to preserve the evidence they have against Masvidal, and on the 21st, the witness list was brought to the court showing the people who will be testifying in the trial. The trial is set to start tomorrow, the 31st of August. Zabit Magomedsharipov sheds light on retirement. Earlier this year, top-ranked featherweight Zabit Magomedsharipov made the decision to announce his retirement from MMA. The move came after the top-ranked featherweight was pulled from the UFC rankings the previous year after a lengthy layoff following his win over Calvin Kattar. At the time of his retirement, Zabit revealed that he planned to go to medical school to become a doctor, a move many believed was influenced by a major surgery he underwent the previous year. Despite that, many questioned whether the retirement was a direct result of the health problems that led to surgery or if there was more at play. After all, following the surgery, Zabit's head coach Mark Henry announced that his fighter would be ready to return to the octagon soon. So what happened between Henry's announcement that Zabit would be returning to the octagon and his eventual retirement? In the words of the former top contender, there were a number of problems he faced. The main reason was that I were not able to fight. The UFC didn't give me a title shot. They promised me one thing and did another. They promised me and didn't keep a promise. That was the main reason why I got mad. The revelation is a stunning one, given that many believed it was only a matter of time before Zabit won a championship belt with the UFC. Given that his retirement was mainly due to frustrations with the UFC and lack of willing opponents rather than health problems, Zabit was pressed further about his future in the sport and whether he would be interested in making a return to the octagon, to which he explained that although he gets the desire to fight when watching fights or helping teammates prepare for upcoming bouts, he doesn't have a very strong desire to fight again. With his retirement, Zabit has without a doubt become one of the biggest what-ifs in the history of the sport. Do you believe that he would have secured a UFC championship had he continued to fight? Give us your thoughts in the comments down below. Thanks so much for joining us today. What do you make of what's going on in the fight world? Make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel to stay up to date on all the latest news from the MMA Zone. See you next time.